Hello, and welcome to this presentation on secondary trauma. I am Abhilash Desai, a psychiatrist in Boise, Idaho. We are all stewards, not just of those who allow us into their lives, but of our own capacity to be helpful. We have an obligation to our clients, as well as to ourselves, our colleagues, and our loved ones, not to be damaged by the work we do. These quotes help us understand how important it is for us to protect ourselves from trauma and also be aware of what is called secondary trauma so that we are not damaged by our work as, say, healthcare professionals, as caregivers of people with disabilities, such as individuals with autism, intellectual disabilities, older adults with dementia, older adults with frailty living in assisted living facilities and nursing homes. Because of these COVID restrictions and other traumatic events, many of the loved ones in our lives are experiencing trauma. And we, as somebody who cares for them, become traumatized because of their experience as trauma. So this exposure to trauma has become quite common, and that has a ripple effect on the loved ones of people who are traumatized. This is what secondary trauma is. It's also called vicarious trauma or secondary traumatic stress. My wife and I experienced secondary trauma because when our mom became severely ill in the last phase of her life and was hospitalized because of COVID, we could not visit her in the hospital. She was in the hospital for 25 days, and then she passed away all alone. And we were there only for the last 1 hour. We are still recovering from that secondary trauma, and our mom experienced primary trauma. Prevention involves just educating everybody that there is something called secondary trauma, that we need to be aware that this could be happening right now or it could happen in the future because of this ongoing COVID stress. Meditation, mindfulness training, and regular habits of self-care, exercise, nutrition, sleep, stress management, taking time to spend with our pets, our loved ones, our friends is really important. If we are experiencing secondary trauma, then it's important to engage in cognitive behavioral interventions where we correct our automatic negative thoughts, our negative schemas. We may do this on our own or seek professional help. Mindfulness and meditation are also effective in reducing the negative emotions and stress related to secondary trauma. Meditation and mindfulness will make us less angry, less resentful, more forgiving, and maybe even find some peace. Reflective mentorship and guidance from other individuals, preferably people who are wiser, calmer, more positive, can be extremely important in recovering from secondary trauma. I would urge you to try and harness the superpowers of these weapons of the soul. Acceptance, we need to accept that we are fragile and we need to develop resilience. It's just not going to happen. Benevolence, where we are kind to ourselves and others. Compassion, where we help ourselves and others. Discernment, I learned that from Saint Ignatius' teachings when I did my fellowship training at St. Louis University in St. Louis, Missouri. Discernment is developing capacity to understand the obscure. Equanimity, forgiveness, gratitude, and humor also need to be actively cultivated. And again, meditation and mindfulness can help you, as can many other approaches. My wife and I have written this book, One Day Mindfulness Millionaire, a light-hearted primer for the uninitiated to live mindfully. Please check out that book, especially if you're new to meditation and mindfulness. Hope this has been helpful. Wish you well. Namaste.